Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing the third episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. An episode that, to my great relief, feels like it's starting to steer the show in the right direction.
I like this one.
From the very start of the episode, which kind of juxtaposes Anakin getting assembled as Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in his meditative state, it's like the show has finally found its focus and zeroes in on that. Like I was saying in my review for the first two episodes, Obi-Wan and Anakin are what we're here for. To see that editing contrast at the start of the episode promised that the show was going to zero in on that conflict, and it did deliver. What I particularly loved about the reintroduction to Darth Vader in this episode was the brutality that they didn't shy away from. From seeing him force choke villagers, snap their necks with the Force, to seeing Obi-Wan, burned alive. It was just a chillingly ferocious reintroduction to this titan of a character, and I'm really glad they committed to it.
It's beautiful.
So far, I think the choreography of their brief lightsaber fight leaves a lot to be desired, but I'm chopping that up mainly at the moment to Obi-Wan not being at full strength and not because the stunt choreography is poor. So I'm hoping when they clash again, for the big finale, there's going to be a lot more weight to it. Still gutted we haven't heard any kind of prequel scores from John Williams seeping into their fight sequences there. But their conflict in this episode really lent more towards suspense and horror. I loved the dark kind of vast mining facility setting that they went for, just really leaving them the space to fill the screen themselves. The lighting with the lightsabers in the dark was beautiful. The sound design with Vader's breathing and the lightsabers chopping through the silent night was just really well done. It was easily the best episode they've given us so far, and that is absolutely because it's the first episode to really focus in on that conflict and show us part of it from Vader's perspective as well as Obi-Wan's, which was a real strength this week. It wasn't all fantastic. I think some of the problems from the previous two episodes are still present, namely how they incorporate Leia into the show. I don't have a problem with this character except when she seems like the one who's solving all the problems. From her sweet talking their way onto that cargo ship at the start of the episode, to her compelling the rebel at the end to go back and help Obi-Wan. I just really hate how these adult characters aren't capable of making these decisions for themselves. I think they need to rein Leia in a bit more, just because it makes the adult characters seem incompetent by comparison, whereas if they just showed a bit of restraint with Leia's character and kind of let Obi-Wan and the rebel do their thing, the whole dynamic would just feel a lot more natural and a lot less cringe. I think there's a few too many silly decisions that get made here and there, like in episode 2, when Obi-Wan's running around this populated city chasing Leia while being wanted by everyone with his hood down. There was a moment like that in episode 3 where the stormtroopers are coming to inspect him and Leia on the cargo ship, and as they're walking towards him, he puts his hood up. Like, come on, if anything screams conspicuously suspicious, it's that, right? I absolutely loved the throwaway mention to Quinlan Vos. He was one of my favourite Jedis who we never really got to see in live action. He appeared very briefly in the Clone Wars, and in the lore he had quite an interesting relationship with Asajj Ventress, so to see him kind of mentioned by Obi-Wan Kenobi was a real treat. Ewan McGregor continues to impress. I'm hoping the final 3 episodes we're going to have a big shift now towards him having his power-up moments, his pep talk with Qui-Gon Jinn. Now that it feels like he's been as low as he can go, let's start building him up please, quite quickly, because it's time for the character to really come into his own now. Ewan McGregor is still the MVP of this show by a mile, but I did love some of the quieter moments in the show, namely Obi-Wan kind of briefly dodging the question about Leia's parents, sharing a bit of insight into his own backstory, which was really unexpected but really a pleasant surprise. Seeing Obi-Wan explain the Force to Leia in kind of child's terms at the start was really sweet and endearing. So I think the show is striking a much better balance this week tonally. Reva's character, I still don't really care, and that is mainly because we got the conflict that we need in this show now. And so a lot of the characters just feel like they are pivoting around Anakin and Obi-Wan. Again, they're already teasing Reva's redemption, when she saw the Jedi logo in there. But yeah, Reva's just sort of there at the moment. I'm not really too bothered because we're getting the central conflict that we're all dying to see. But no, I am pleased with this show at the moment and where it's going. This is the first episode I would say is legitimately good. We just need to overcome the silly decision making occasionally by the characters and stop giving Leia so much adult charisma, because that seems to come at the expense of the sensibility of the other characters. Loved the horror dynamic with Vader's reintroduction. Loved how grandiose and brutal he was presented. as well as how, you know, deeply hurt you can see underneath his helmet. So kudos to Hayden Christensen for really bringing and selling that physicality to us. This show is finally starting to show some real promise, so I can't wait to see where it goes next week. Thank you for tuning in, guys.